Good evening, everyone. I'm a tech and an agile enthusiast, as Imran shared briefly about me. I love to build and test my experiments, and one such recent experiment with a group of my friends using Lego blocks led me to discover more about Agile Dysfunctions. So welcome once again to the Agile Dysfunctions, a Scrum Block experiment lightning talk. Imagine, if you will, a hot and humid evening with the sound of fans and air cons and clinking of beer mugs and bottles filling the air. No, this is not London, but a city named Mumbai in India, popularly known as the city of dreams that never sleeps. A group of friends and I gathered on a Friday evening for our monthly Lego playtime and ended up building an experiment which made us see similarities with Agile Dysfunctions. Let's see what we discovered in this journey. But before that, a quick brief. I am currently experimenting as a Scrum Master in a social impact organization. And I was introduced to Agile World in 2021 through an investment bank and a digital agency in the UK. So what was the experiment and what did we do? We decided to build a Lego Taj Mahal with 5,923 blocks using short sprints. A Lego masterpiece indeed from a backlog of blocks. We started by forming a Scrum team to have our perfect crew. Every game needs a perfect crew, isn't it? Every masterpiece has a vision and, of course, ways to achieve it. And so did we. While this was meant to be a fun with Lego evening, as always, I thought, let's do something different. Let's use this as an opportunity to see how I can make it an evening of experimenting with Scrum. What next? Questions. How to bring method to madness, how to see and measure the progress, how to improve and move forward in the journey. In our excitement, we agreed that we'll have roles, responsibilities, and ways of working. I took the role of product owner in the group and defined the product goal along with the product backlog. What's a product backlog? Nothing but a list of building epics and stories based on the vision and expectations discussed by the group at the beginning. Each team member was responsible for a unique Lego structure, much like the tasks in a sprint. We used the backlog refinement process to focus on the stories that should be worked on. Our next step was creating the sprint goal and the sprint backlog. What more? We decided to go with a time-boxed 2-hour sprint. We thought this structure would help us build and inspect our Lego structure effectively. Aren't we too positive? But lo, behold, came the dysfunctions. On the left of the slide, you see the pyramid by Patrick, which is the 5 dysfunctions that a team goes through. So when we came together as a team, we didn't know each other. While we had the instructions on the booklet from Lego, I, as the product owner, still helped and guided the group with the vision of what should or what shouldn't it be like. But whoa, after the first 2 hours of the sprint, we discovered everyone was doing their own thing. Quite often than not, we focused on results, and that's what all of us were chasing in that sprint. What we missed is not looking at the base of the pyramid. So if you continue to look on the left side of the slide, it says the base says that there's an absence of trust, which then starts building up other elements in not a positive direction. And that's what started happening with us. So what happened? I'm going to touch upon 3 of the dysfunctions in detail. Fear of conflict. During the second sprint, we had a conflict in which 2 of the group members got into a fight with both wanting to build all the domes of the monument. What seemed to be a healthy conflict soon ran into an ugly boxing match, with one person becoming silent and the other person shouting. Shouting? Ranting. God knows, but I can still hear that echo in my ears. This began to create fear of conflict for the rest of us in the team. By the end of the sprint, the silent team member became disengaged, and the one who was shouting started to micromanage others. Nothing of that sort that we ever imagined. We had to pause and reflect as a team. We also identified bumps and roadblocks. For example, the biggest mistake we did was mixing the Lego pieces together from the Lego bags during the sprints, which blocked our progress from reaching our goals. All of us were trying to work on everything together. Now, if you look at the pile of bricks on the left side, you can imagine what we were going through. Sometimes you may want to make the silos, break the team, and go and work on each tier, and then again come together to connect the pieces. We clearly missed the opportunities of bringing the silos efficiency and non-silo effectiveness every now and then. While the Scrum Guide suggests we should have moments to inspect and adapt, when I raised in the team that we need a sprint review and retrospective, they said, "We don't need one, Natasha. We are here to play the game and build the Lego. Why are you making this difficult for us?" But soon we realized as a group after the second sprint that our inability to inspect and adapt was delaying the delivery of vision. And clearly the vision wasn't exactly at par with everyone else's. And one of the examples that we saw emerging in this was the monument has 4 identical domes on the structure. But when we started building it, we realized that the end result was totally different from what it was supposed to be. So we had 4 different dome structures, God knows looking like what. The team paused and decided to start with the sprint review and sprint retrospective immediately. So I realized, while you may nudge as much as you want, it's the team together when it realizes it comes together and takes the action. We saw the difference emerging in subsequent sprints with focused feedback loops and increments in the journey emerging. Did this solve everything for us? Not yet. The second dysfunction we saw was accountability. Our backlog wasn't well defined and refined, with outcomes which led to confusion about which stories should have been prioritized. Signs of not being accountable began emerging. An example right here, when we tried to put the minaret's left side base with the right side base of the monument together, they didn't fit. Some of the team members started blaming each other. Now, if I pause here and take you back to a technology organization, doesn't it sound familiar when someone is developing an API on their own and the other is developing the front end on their own? And when they come together, they realize that the API is not integrating or supporting the front end. Back to where we were. Some of us overcommitted to stories, resulting in unfinished work and low quality outcomes. We said we would finish the minaret in 10 minutes, and it took 45 minutes just to build one. We clearly underestimated the task, which didn't meet the sprint goal and missed the timeline to deliver. Inattention to results. Since results is something which we all primarily focus on, personally, professionally, we struggled with effective collaboration after second sprint, and we didn't have a solid organized method or structure to build the masterpiece. There were plenty of intricate and small Lego pieces in the structure, which led to the frustration and less involvement from some of the team members. This also led to people becoming interested in self-focused outcomes by choosing what they found simple and interesting to build. If you again look at the pictures, you will relate to this example. A lot of times we use the wrong pieces and created the wrong structure. And then we would undo and start all over again. If I again take you back to the technology organization, doesn't it sound familiar to refactoring in technology projects? Something that we discovered that can happen in non-technology projects too. What were our learnings? We learned it takes time for people to feel trusted and trust others. Trust doesn't get built in a day. We needed to build on each other's ideas. So if you look at the Tuckman model on the left of the slide, the forming phase is where the absence of trust happens. So as a team, when we saw absence of trust, we were more into listening. People were not fighting and not questioning the ways of working. But then we did not realize that the trust was still not built. The conflict begins to emerge at the storming phase with high emotions in the team. The next phase of norming, we see support and engagement emerging with lower anxiety and improved commitment, something which we all felt. And when we reached the performing stage, the group effectively used interdependence and self-management. We also learned that when we focus on sprint goal, we can maximize the outcome lanes while working together. I personally learned that agile guiding principles are the North Star. Managing big teams in large-scale Scrum is challenging at times, and large-scale Scrum itself is challenging sometimes. So while in this experiment, we didn't use large-scale Scrum at all, but next time, if you want to embrace it with your team, let the Lego playtime bring the challenges to the table and an opportunity for the team to experience them and resolve them. This is our final masterpiece that we put together. I would love to connect with anyone who is on this journey, and I'd love to hear any feedback too. So happy to connect via LinkedIn to continue our co-learning journey. I also thought to share some of my reference books after I did this experiment, which I still go back and refer. They are easily available on Amazon, or you can book, or you could buy your own physical copy. Thank you for listening, and happy to take up a few questions if there is time.
Hi there, Jeff Watts here. And like me, I'm sure you loved that session because it's another example of becoming great at Agile. We're proud to sponsor Agile Northants here at Agile Mastery Institute because, like us, the people of Agile Northants know that mastery matters. And we're on a mission to make Agile certification meaningful. We want to change the paradigm so that when people think of Agile certification, they think of a pathway of actual, real, deep learning over time. Not just learning good practice, but reflecting on that practice and tailoring the learning to the context of the learner. So at Agile Mastery Institute, we don't just offer 2-day classes. We offer at least 6 months worth of support, a combination of classroom, of coaching sessions, and community support. So you know that you will get some great practice content and theory and skills development, but also you will be able to direct that learning through your bespoke coaching sessions over the course of at least 6 months. This will help you in your role, it'll help your employers, it'll help your teams, and it'll help regain respect for Agile certification throughout the industry. So if you believe Agile certification matters, then come along to one of our cohorts. We've got licensed guides around the world offering flexible programs over time zones and cadence. Check out agilemasteryinstitute.com for your options. And I've personally got a few cohorts coming up where if you're quick and you use the code NORTHMASTERY, then you could get up to 25% off, but you have to be quick to get those discounts. If you've got any questions about any of it, how the pathways work, how it could work for you, how it could work for your organization, then just drop me a note and I'll happily explain more. But until then, keep on doing great Agile.